I would like to call this meeting to order.
This meeting will also be conducted by audio and video conference without the requirement of a physically present quorum of the Rock Island City Council due to the disaster declaration issued by Governor Pritzker. Because of this order related to COVID-19 health concerns affecting the state and the city, the mayor has determined that an in-person meeting at City Hall with all participants may not be practical or prudent. Alderpersons and staff may not all be physically present at City Hall due to the disaster, and physical attendance at City Hall may be limited. To participate remotely during the public comment or public hearing portion of this meeting, please join by phone at 1-413-346-5866, PIN 673-453-473 #.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Alderperson Robinson.
Present.
Hertz.
Here.
Gilbert.
Present.
Swanson. Here. Parker.
Here.
Pulis.
Here.
Healy.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here. I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Public comment. Thank you. All right. First up on public comment is Steve Kibling.
My name is Steve Kibling. I live in southwest Rock Island, and I left my alderman phone messages and never got any return phone calls, so I figured I got to come here. I've never been here before. I live in Lakeview Estates Trailer Park, and I tried to find somebody that could tell me how many times they can increase your lot rent. Last September, because I pay for 2 lots. They increased the lot I live on $15 and increased the lot that my shed's on $50. Well, now come June of this year, they're going to raise the lot I live on $15 and the lot that I don't live on $65 more to $300 a month. There's got to be a law how often that they're out of Colorado. It's Impact Communities, and they own over 200 trailer parks in the USA. On top of that, I got okayed by the park to move my trailer because I live on a pie shape, and supposedly everybody that lives out there is supposed to have a 50 by 100 lot. I don't because I live on a curve. I got okayed by the park to move my trailer, which I've got people lined up to do, around the corner to lot 54. Last year, the park had a trailer tore down that was there. Well, after inspecting the lot, the people that tore down the previous trailer took the plumbing and the sewer out too. Well, I informed the park about it, and Jennifer Olds, the park manager, says, well, that corporate says, well, you'll have to replace that. I rent the lot. I don't. So where do they get off going to have me charged to put that in? That should be their responsibility.
Let you know that's private property, and to my knowledge, I don't have any ordinances over, the rent, how much, how often, nor the water and sewer out there. We feed it to that area, and then from there it's private. But to verify that, I don't know if Miles, if it fall under you, but I don't know of any at this point city controls over that part of it.
Or how often they can charge.
No, at this point, it's all private land, and just like renting a house or anything else, they have the ability to do just about anything. But the city has no control over that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, and is it Swanson? I can't pronounce the first name, I apologize. Is it Swanson? Is it Sampson? Samson? Want to talk about potholes? Anybody want to talk about potholes? Please, don't, but no. Nobody here.
They're deep.
Okay, I don't know. Somebody signed up here. Is it Dearica?
Yeah, maybe.
Danica? Danica Sampson? I'm sorry.
Our pronouns are they.
I'm sorry.
Our pronouns are they and she, and the reason why I'm here today is I just have a question. Maybe y'all can answer it. So, if you look back on March 31st, Biden had did the trans thing for the passport because the state of Illinois is not accepting something about the tribal contract that's not going to be in effect until 2024. So, Biden went ahead and made it to where today we can go and get our passport so we can get the non-binary, the X on our genders. And I went to the Justice Center and there's no application for it. So do you know when that'll be updated so where I can go apply for my new passport? Because I don't want my ID. I don't want the Illinois ID.
Right.
It says female. I don't want that on there.
Yeah, once again, the city has no control and deal with any passports. It's done at the post office, typically, or online, but is where passports are dealt with. And the city has no ordinances or control over that.
And another thing, the potholes. Going back to, look, I done been away for a very long time. I done came from Orange County, California, and it looks very different around here. And I was in the historic district in Old Chicago. Why is those potholes? Why aren't they filled? Like, do y'all have any plans on to get those filled, or what's going on with that?
Yes. The weather is a little different between here and California as far as that goes, and potholes, so that makes a difference. And yes, I don't know, Mr. Bartels, we're out there filling potholes now or not, but just,
We have multiple crews out every day.
Oh.
So if you want to give me the location, happy to go there.
The whole district, the whole historic
We
district.
are out working the whole entire city at this time.
okay.
Be patient and we'll get to all the areas.
You can also file an official one with an address and everything else. You call Public Works, and 732-2200. 2220. Call Public Works, and you can report an exact address and pothole, and they'll get it on the list.
And about how long does it take for potholes to be filled and all that?
It varies from different time of year and everything else. And, springtime is really bad, and there's a lot of them out there, so they're making their cycles around. Cannot give you an exact date instead of saying, or time, exactly, and 1 day or 5 days or whatever. But you can speak to that gentleman right there, and he can help you out.
And it's usually, we try to complete it within 7 days.
Oh, really? All right, thank you. And what's going on with this courthouse? What y'all doing with that?
You have a
Are
lot
y'all
of
planning on
questions
throwing that
tonight.
away? Yeah, because there's been so much going on. I have a lot of questions, a lot.
I don't know which court, I'm not sure.
Are y'all keeping that? Because that's historic. and I
Typically,
don't
they'll do
think
a
that
lot
needs
of
to be,
back and forth here. I'm not sure which courthouse you're talking about, the county courthouse? or
That one right up the street.
To be
across
torn down, the
street.
one that's torn down?
Yeah, it's a sign across the street by that tobacco. Talking about save it. So what's y'all plan with that? Do y'all plan on keeping that, or y'all tearing that
Not
down?
ours. It's,
or-
once again, city has
is
no
it?
control, it's the county.
The county.
city.
So is there anyone in here that I can speak with about, like, other things about that, since y'all don't have the answers on
You
what's
need to,
going on with
unfortunately,
that?
during 8 to 5, so to speak, go next door to the county and talk to them about it. It's going to be torn down sooner or later here, but I couldn't tell you the schedule, I couldn't tell you who, I couldn't tell you anything.
Okay.
That's all the county.
and I was reading something about this grant that y'all have received for the Black History Trail thing. What happened with that?
That
What
money,
happened?
that money was returned to the federal government, the park.
That it said something about some qualifications, some people wasn't qualified. What?
It was a debate between several different organizations on who they felt that was the most knowledgeable to do that, and it couldn't come to any resolution, so the money was sent back.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
We'll be applying for it again,
Again.
yes.
Okay, so who can I speak with about the whole passport situation? Would it be the United States representative, the Sherry, was that
Sherry Busto, it would be a Sherry, it's a federal issue, it'd be a Sherry Bustos would be the local representative, yes.
for that situation?
That and the post office, yes.
Okay. Oh, well, that answers my questions, thank you. Oh, and another thing, so I did see something else about the leaders in this city that's supposed to be addressing these shootings. When will y'all be touching on that?
We're going to talk about it a little bit at the end of this meeting today.
And about how long does these meetings last?
Oh, it varies. I wish I could predict that.
This is my first time, I don't know. I'm
If I
just
had
trying to figure
to
it
take a
out.
guess, I'd say 8:30, but I don't know. It's all a matter of how talkative people are.
Oh, okay, well, let me have a seat and continue on listening, thank you.
There you go, thank you. Okay, is there anybody virtually that wishes to speak, public comment? All right, we're on to item number 7.
Minutes from the March 28th, 2022 study session and city council meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as printed.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye. Item number 8.
Minutes from the March 28th, 2022 closed session.
Move to approve the closed session minutes.
Second?
Sorry.
Moved and second, any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Number 9, update Rock Island. A couple items here. For Earth Day celebration, community members of all ages are invited to attend your Earth Day celebration at Longview Park on Sunday, April 24th, from 1 to 3 p.m. Join us in celebrating the ways our area stays green. Learn more about how to engage in environmentally friendly habits to sustain our area. This free event, hosted by Rock Island Park and Recreation, will feature a youth recycled art show, arts and crafts for kids, educational opportunities, health snacks, a scavenger hunt, and a park service project. The service project will involve cleaning up trash and sticks in the park around the neighborhood. So bring work gloves if you plan on participating. The Martin Luther King Center, in partnership with Family Resources, is hosting free GED classes and other services such as career exploration, life skills, parenting class for 16 to 20-year-olds. Visit mlkcenter.org for more information. Spring into fun and learning, April 11th through the 15th, 2022, at the Rock Island Public Library with events including Hug a Book, Learning Through Play, free take-home kit for families with children ages 2 through 5. Register via the library calendar. Each kit includes play activities such as morning and bedtime routine clip books and a calm down do-it-yourself activity. Kit pickup will be April 18th through the 23rd at the Rock Island Library locations. Money Smart Week online webinars for adults on budgeting, credit, home buying, and retirement planning is at 1 p.m. every day this week. To sign up for the free 30-minute webinar, visit the Money Smart Week website, which is moneysmartweek.org. Rock Island Arsenal Lecture Series with Army Sustainment Command historians. The April 13th talk is offered at 2 p.m. at the Downtown Library and is on the military's involvement in the Black Hawk War of 1832. For more events and information, visit the library's website at www.rockislandlibrary.org. Thank you. Item number 10.
Proclamation declaring April 2022 as Earth Month, whereas Earth Day was first celebrated on April 22nd, 1970, with the goal of inspiring an appreciation of our nation's natural resources through conservation and protection, and whereas the celebration of this day marks an annual review of and commitment to the principles of that first Earth Day, and whereas Earth Day marks a renewed commitment to environmental stewardship and to the implementation of sustainability efforts. And whereas the global community now faces extraordinary challenges such as environmental degradation, global health issues, climate change, food and water shortages. And whereas a green economy can be achieved on the individual level through education, public policy, and consumer activism campaigns. And whereas it is understood that the citizens of the global community must step forward and take action to create positive environmental change to combat the aforementioned global challenges. And whereas the City of Rock Island celebrates Earth Day by extending it to the month of April in recognition of the commitment to environmental stewardship. And whereas the residents of the City of Rock Island are encouraged to implement practices designed to preserve and protect our environment and shape the future of our environmental security.
Now therefore, I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 as Earth Month in the City of Rock Island, dated this day, 11th day of April 2022. Is there anybody here?
Going to be. There she is. Okay.
You want to? We can come up and do a little photo op real quick or not?
It doesn't make any
All right. You want to say anything?
No, we're just appreciate, fortunately, all of our communities that you're promoting. Davenport are all doing this, so
Outstanding.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's killing me.
Item number 11.
Proclamation declaring April 11th through the 15th, 2022 as National Work Zone Awareness Week. Whereas National Work Zone Awareness Week is an annual spring campaign held at the start of construction season to encourage safe driving through streets, roads, and highway work zones. And whereas National Work Zone Awareness is a way to raise public awareness for work zones and those who work in them, and the motorists are encouraged to slow to posted speed limits, eliminate distractions while driving, and be watchful for roadway workers, their equipment, and vehicles on the side of the road in work zones. And whereas the theme for the 2022 National Work Zone Awareness Week is Work Zones are a sign of slow down. And whereas National Work Zone Awareness Week 2022 is taking place April 11th through the 15th and is a way to raise public awareness of work zone hazards, whereas Go Orange Day takes place on Wednesday, April 22nd, and provides an opportunity to unite in wearing orange to show support for the men and women who work tirelessly to keep our roads safe. And whereas a moment of silence will be held Friday, April 15th, to honor the lives lost in work zones, and whereas solutions to keeping everyone safe in work zones and on our roadways is our collective responsibility.
Now therefore, I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim the week of April 11th through the 15th of 2022 as National Work Zone Awareness Week in the City of Rock Island, dated this day, 11th day of April 2022. Is anybody here for the work zone?
I don't think anybody was
I don't
coming.
think so. All right. Then we do have another proclamation that came forth. Right?
Number 12,
Yep.
Proclama-
Number 12. No, it's
proclamation declaring April 12th, 2022 is Bree Beal Day. Alderperson Robinson.
yes.
I just have to take a second. It's very exciting for me to be able to do this for her, especially since she's an adopted member of our family as my niece. Just seeing her at a young age living or speaking this dream into existence, and to be able to witness it on Sunday when she won the national championship. So, proclamation. Whereas Bree Bill is a 2019 graduate from Rock Island Milan High School, where she was named Illinois Miss Basketball 3 times, ranked the number 11 recruit in the class of 2019, and the number 3 wing player in the class, earned consistent All-American selection after her senior year, 2019, during which she averaged 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists, captured Illinois Player of the Year honors from Gatorade and USA Today, and finished her high school career as an all-time leading scorer in the Western Big Six history. And whereas Bree Bill is currently a junior at the University of South Carolina as a guard for the women's basketball team, Gamecocks, and whereas Bree Bill, along with her teammates of the University of South Carolina women's basketball team, won the NCAA women's basketball tournament in Minnesota and Minneapolis on Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, against the University of Connecticut with a score of 64-49. And whereas Bree Bill deserves recognition for her outstanding leadership and dedication.
Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, as Bree Beal Day in the City of Rock Island.
She can. She likes to talk, so maybe.
Just blessed she's my daughter. And thanks for the people who care about her and show her love.
All good causes, that's wonderful. Great child. All right. Item 13.
Public hearing regarding the HUD CDBG Program Year 2021 Consolidated Annual Performance Report.
All right.
Move to approve the program year 2021.
Public hearing.
Public hearing. Yep, I didn't say that, I didn't read that here. Yes, so we're going to close.
Why is it like this?
Yes, exactly. So we are actually going to close the regular meeting and open up a public hearing. And if there's anybody that wishes to speak against this, for it, just open, they're saying, all right. Anybody that wants to speak about it? Obviously, there's people here that can, but hearing none, seeing none? All right, we'll close the public hearing and reopen the regular meeting. And now I'd entertain a motion.
To approve the program year 2021 Consolidated Annual Performance Report as submitted.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Obviously, it's a great project. Go ahead, Judith.
Okay, so I didn't speak during public comment because last time I was told not to. So I have some introductory questions, and then I have questions regarding the report.
Okay?
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 So we were notified that there's going to be a corrected report, that this is not the one that's being submitted. So when will council actually see a print version of that?
At the end of the week?
And when is the report due?
The report is due now. So this is a draft report.
So what, it's due today, it's due tomorrow? When is it due?
It's due at the end of this week.
So
Typically,
the 15th?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I was informed it was due on Wednesday. So I guess I have a question for staff, why you're waiting to what I consider the last minute before the report's due to HUD to get it on the agenda, so that if there's questions, they could be addressed in plenty of time. We went through this process last year, too.
So they,
Let me just finish my introductory
Okay.
comment. So, the reason why I feel that, or I believe, we continue to need oversight on our HUD funds is, for example, in the report, it's been 4 years since we've had a career lift program. And that's because we weren't doing things properly. So what happens, or let me save that question for later. Okay. So was council notified of the public comment period? I don't recall getting anything.
I followed the citizen participation plan, and that is
doesn't
what we
answer
are
my question.
required to do.
That doesn't answer my question. Was council notified of the public comment period?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, council should have been notified. So how was the public notified?
The public was notified by a public notice in the newspaper, the Argus Dispatch, and that is what we are required to do. And it was inserted in the newspaper on March 15th. It was printed and made available on March 16th, and it was available for review and comment for 15 days.
Okay, so was an announcement made on the city website?
No.
I know you're saying you're following whatever plan you're following. I just think that that is wrong. At a minimum, there should be announcement on the city website, and council should be notified. So how many comments did you receive during this public comment period?
I have not received any comments.
Okay, I'm not surprised. Okay, so what happens if we are late submitting this report or council shouldn't approve it? What happens?
Nothing. It's not going to be late because I requested a waiver.
What does that mean?
That I have requested HUD waive our deadline so that I could get it in by the end of the week.
So is the waiver to get it in by the end of the week, or was the deadline already passed for other HUD CAFR
The
reports?
deadline passed on April 8th. But I
Okay, so
requested a waiver and HUD approved it. Because I wasn't going to be able to get it in on time.
All right, I'm taking notes. Okay, so I guess I still don't understand why council's receiving it at this late date, wasn't even aware of the public comment period. And it's not an easy report to get. I understand you write it according to HUD rules, regulations, formatting, but it's not something that's easy for the public to translate or understand it. So, before we get into the other details, so were there any unspent funds from 2021?
Yes, there was approximately 101,000, but that's not what this report addresses.
But you mentioned in this report in several places about unspent funds.
Can you?
Like, for example, in the second paragraph, it talks about the coronavirus funds. It says how much we received, how much we expended, and yet you have a remainder of 263,000, but when I take what we were awarded, what we spent, I come up with 676,000.
No, we were awarded $879,699. That's a typo in there that's been corrected.
Yes, that is a typo, yes.
And we have expended according to, so I want to, before we get into this, I just want to say, Alderman Gilbert, thank you for your comments and your review of the report, because I was able to go in and make some substantive changes that are beneficial to the report. So thank you. So I went in, and in that paragraph, I added a line that says that to date, the city has spent $616,118. And when you add that to our, what we have, what remains, you come to $879,699. But this report is about what we have spent. My purpose in adding, in discussing what is remaining is a reminder that we still have this money that needs to be spent. So that was my purpose in that.
Okay, so let me just clarify. So the money that you said the city expended, was that another typo? It wasn't 203,000?
No, we spent over 2020 and 2021, a total of $616,118. The 203,307 is part of that 616. So in total, for the 2 years that we've had the grant, that is what we've spent.
Okay, well, you could understand my confusion then.
Yes, I did, and I went in and addressed that, so that the confusion is no more.
Okay. Now, do you want me to go through this page by page, or what? With all the questions there?
I think that it would be beneficial if you just addressed your biggest concerns and then send me your other comments, and then I will make those changes.
Well, I didn't sort out my comments by what were my biggest concerns. I've been very sick for the last week, and I'm not sure that I can get you all these comments or questions in time for you to submit it to HUD to meet the new deadline.
Well, I do have what you had provided staff, and so, I did address, on page 3, I took out the bin, so that's been, and then you...
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're referring to.
On page 3,
We were provided with a copy of the caper, Alderwoman Gilbert, that was from Mr. Grip, kind of detailing some of the comments that you'd provided him. And so what Colleen has done is gone through that and made adjustments to address those comments.
Okay, well, I haven't seen that. That's a document he created. That's not something, I haven't seen that, so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
that was based off of our conversation, Judith. It's the same document, it's just with some notes that we had over the phone. And I had asked you to send me the rest of your notes, and I understand you've been sick, and that's been kind of the delay in getting the information to you all.
so what's confusing in the chart that starts on page 2 is that some of the categories, and it looks like they share the same pot of funding.
They do.
But, and I guess you're saying this report doesn't address what money was spent, or it doesn't address what money was
So this chart that we're looking at here, this chart is based on our 5-year consolidated plan. And it generates these numbers. All right, so when I print it out, these are already here. And so like the Lead Healthy Homes paint, lead-based paint, all right, that's a match grant, but we still have to report how many projects we did. And we're using salary as our match, okay?
Right. I'm not concerned about that program. That's not what I'm concerned about. So, okay, well then I guess I'll wait to see this report, but I hate to approve, or this corrected report, I hate to approve it until I've seen a corrected version of it.
We could pass it, I believe, an attorney here, with minor modifications.
You can do that. I don't know what those modifications might be,
Right.
though. I mean,
We haven't seen the modifications. and I haven't seen what Mr. Grip sent to staff addressing my concerns, some of my concerns that I did discuss with him.
Okay, so if you want to get with her later this week, but I think at this point, we have a motion and a second on the floor that we need to take a vote on.
So unfortunately, I'm almost in agreement. I mean, how can we vote on something if it's going to change? 'Cause
Well,
this document's going to change, right?
Hold on, let me back up here, okay? This report is just a report to HUD that tells them how we spent our money. Was it in alignment with our 5-year consolidated plan, okay?
Gotcha.
That is what this report does. And all of the data in here is correct. It is how we spent our money. So every single thing that's contained in this report has happened.
So whatever the changes are we're talking about then?
What, I don't know, Judith is the one who's been looking for some changes.
So just,
So,
if I'm...
again, it goes back to, what, okay, so, it's
I just
not
want to
that
know what
I'm,
we're voting on. Are we voting on this document we have in front of us, or are we voting on what's going to come out of the changes?
So I would like to just provide take a step a little further back than what Colleen mentioned, just provide a little more context. So as many of you will recall, every 5 years we approve a consolidated plan that lays out generally over the 5 years how we're going to utilize the HUD funds that we receive. Each year within that 5-year period, we approve an annual action plan that says in a given year how the funds are going to be used. The CAPER is prepared at the end of each program year, just recapping what we spent. So approving this doesn't commit us to anything, it doesn't approve spending, it's really just a report back to HUD saying this is what we did. Right, so it's not initiating anything, it's just reporting back on things. So the comments that we've received from Mr. Grip, from Alderwoman Gilbert, are generally addressing a few sets of typos, which we're grateful to have pointed out, as well as a few places where an additional line of information for clarity has been added. So it doesn't change substantially the general nature of the report, or really change the way in which we achieve the objective of telling HUD whether we did or we didn't do what we were going to do in the annual action plan for this program year.
There's more of an editing thing. There's nothing up the numbers. Good.
Clarity, add some little clarity.
I also want to add that this is a draft. It says draft on it. And the reason that it's a draft is because I come here and I get your comments, and then I get the public's comments, and then I incorporate them into the plan, and then I send it to HUD. That's what we're here for. Now, typically, in the past 4 years, there's not any comments. And two, everybody is like, yes, we see that you have spent this money in the appropriate ways. You know, there was one change to our program this year. We ended using HUD funds for a specific reason, but that's an internal staff reason that we are not going to get into in the CAPER. You know, for the most part, that's the biggest piece, or the biggest change that this program experienced this year. Go ahead.
So, okay, I just want to interject here. So, you know, I've heard these same reasons, excuses last year too, but I don't hear anyone trying to educate council about what all of it means, because it's written in HUD language. I get it, you're saying it's a report based on how well we're meeting our 5-year plan. But the fact that council was not notified of the public comment, we received it only a few days ago, it's going to be changed now. The public, in my opinion, barely been notified, whether you followed requirements or whatever. To me, gee, it's no wonder for the last few years you're not getting any public comment. How many people still receive a newspaper? But in particular, if council is to vote on something, I'm tired of, we get it at the last minute, and there's no time to review it in more detail with staff. And when I went through this last year with Randy Tweet, he hadn't even bothered to read the report. To me, this is a very important report. Anything to do with our HUD entitlement is.
Well, at this point, I mean, all staff can say is that we have followed HUD regulations to the letter and met all of our obligations. If the council would like to receive more information just generally on these processes, I think that we'd be happy to provide that going forward. I would love to have a conversation with Mr. Grip or with his soon-to-be successor about better ways we can educate the council on these processes, and if there is a way for us to provide more information sooner and take questions sooner, we would be happy to explore that.
Well, I said the same comments last year, and that we're still back to where we get this report at the last minute, and it's already past June.
Okay. At this point, the staff is saying that all the data in there is correct, whether a little additional clarification may or may not be needed, but the data in there is correct as far as the numbers and where it was spent, and that's what we're voting on. I'd like to call the roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
No.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 14.
Claims for the week of March 18th through March 24th, 2022, in the amount of $582,067.62. Week of March 25th, 2022 through March 31st, 2022, in the amount of $812,467.80. And payroll for the weeks of March 7th through March 20th, 2022, in the amount of $1,493,744.73.
Motion to allow the claims and payroll.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item number 15.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding sealed bids for 2022 to 2025 city-owned facilities mowing contract, recommending the bid be awarded to Finer Finish Ground Care LLC of Newark, Illinois, in the amount of $146,850.
Move to approve the bid as recommended and authorize the interim city manager to execute the contract.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
I have a really dumb question.
As they say, nothing's done.
Oh, no, this one kind of is. So between item 15 and item 16, it's around $280 some odd thousand. Just out of curiosity, is there any way we would be able to save any money if we hired like some part-time or seasonal employees to do the mowing?
And I apologize, when I was walking up here, you said between, was it item 1 and 2? I didn't hear you.
15 and 16, because they're both.
The two mowing.
The mowing one. I was just curious if, because it's a chunk of money, but I was just curious if we,
That's the way we used to do it prior to 2014. I came here in late 2013 and 14, and that was one of the things that I looked at was cost. We did complete it with seasonal and full-time employees with our own equipment. It took away a lot of the tasks that we were doing for other street-related maintenance items. There was a lot of liability with the equipment rolling over in slope areas. You know, we mow the reservoir domes, those type of city facilities that are pretty difficult to do. And we saved in 2014 about $40,000 by contracting out this service. So now with employment being difficult to get and trying to get qualified seasonal employees to do this work, I think it would be pretty difficult to do at this time.
See, I said it was a dumb question.
And it's the
Thank you.
purchasing of the equipment too.
Yeah.
And the fuel and the mechanic time it would take to keep them in operation. So,
Okay,
yes, a
thank
number of
you.
things.
Mike, hold on. The city-owned parcels contract, I guess that's the next one, but I'm going to talk about it right now anyway. Does that include making sure that they pick up trash that's on the lot so they don't just mow it over and blow it all over the
I can
place?
answer that one.
I know previously.
Because I asked him that earlier today.
Yeah.
It does include it, it's in the contract. They're supposed to do a pre-mow inspection, pick up loose trash, litter. They're not allowed to blow clippings on the sidewalk. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen because we've had to enforce that. But it is in the contract to do a pre-trip before they do any mowing of the parcels. And for the city-owned parcels, that's 165 properties in the city.
It's a lot. Quite a few of those.
Yes.
I had the same question as Alderwoman Swanson, so I appreciate Mr. Bartels providing us an answer.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item number 16.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding sealed bids for the 2022-2025 city-owned parcels mowing contract, recommending the bid be awarded to Finer Finish Grounds Care LLC of Newark, Illinois, in the amount of $135,000.
Motion to approve the bid and recommend, and as recommended, and authorize the interim city manager to execute the contract.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 17.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a lease renewal agreement with the Coast Guard Auxiliary at Sunset Marina.
Motion to approve the lease renewal agreement and authorize the interim city manager to execute the agreement.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I just have a comment. I don't know if perhaps Mr. Grip is keeping a list for our new city manager, but I would like to see the city develop a viable plan for the future of Sunset Marina, whether it's selling it, whether it's repurposing it, or figuring out a way for it to make money without us pouring millions of dollars in, whatever. Since the lease is a month-to-month, am I correct in that? That I'm fine with approving it. But I really think we need to stop ignoring the bleeding red ink out there and come up with a plan.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item number 18.
Report from the Public Works Department recommending a contract be awarded to IMEG Corporation of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $287,400 for Phase 1 and 2 design services for the 31st Avenue resurfacing project located between Illinois Route 92 and 11th Street.
Motion to approve the contract as recommended and authorize the interim city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item number 19.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the renewal of annual non-irrigated farmland lease agreements with Mr. Andrew Kordick, Mr. Scott Doxeter, and Mr. Kenneth Flack for 2022, and a recommendation to increase the price of annual leases by $20 per tillable acre each year until the average price per acre has been reached.
Move to approve the 2022 farm lease agreements along with the scaled rent increase subject to minor attorney modifications and authorize the interim city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
And Pulis.
Aye. Item 20.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a request from Good Shepherd Presbyterian at 1822 24th Street to vacate a section of an alleyway located between two properties they own to locate two ground-mounted solar arrays. First reading.
Move to approve the vacation request as recommended, that the approval be contingent upon the church applying for and obtaining the required electrical permits, meeting all zoning ordinance requirements within 1 year, that a utility easement be put in place for the same, and consider the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye. Item 21.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property located at 1435 15th Avenue to Joanna Perez for $92,000 plus closing costs. First reading.
I move to approve the sale as recommended, authorize the interim city manager to execute the sale agreement and consider suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
I have a comment and a question.
All right.
Thank you, staff, for getting the requested information regarding costs and grants for this property. So my question is, in today's operations report for March we received, it mentioned in there that the purchase offer had been accepted. So my question is, who accepted the purchase offer on behalf of the city? And does that person have the authority to do that?
So I executed the documents accepting the offer, but the sale is not approved until council approves it. So really, all that means is that I signed paperwork to move towards this point.
Okay.
So just for a little more context for the council, usually when we're selling a city-owned vacant lot, the process is really pretty simple. We handle everything ourselves. We have template agreements for the sale of things. In this case, because a house was involved, we actually secured the services of a real estate agent. So it was more like a typical property sale that a lot of folks will have engaged in. And so we received an offer from the buyer and accepted that offer. That's different than when you get to the actual closing and conclude. So if you were to not approve this, we wouldn't move towards that final step, even having accepted that offer.
In looking at the breakdown of this cost, we spent almost $234,000 on this house, and we're selling it for $92,000.
Yeah, so when we're looking at a property, at this project, and Colleen and I can answer questions about this if the council would like to get into it, it's important to remember that we've got a few different objectives that we're trying to achieve here using funds that are intended for this kind of project. So it isn't like a normal house flip that a private citizen might do and then turn around onto the private market. One of the things that we've been consistently dinged on by HUD over the years is that we don't create units of affordable housing in the way that we're supposed to. So every year in the past, we've been repeatedly told we needed to do something about that. It's a requirement that we create affordable housing units. That's different than rehabbing things, like a owner-occupied housing rehab program achieves, right? So this project was really about a whole bunch of things, but filling that HUD requirement to actually create a housing unit was something that was really at the forefront of the project's objectives. Again, the CDBG funds that go into the project come from HUD, so HUD's asking us to spend the money in this kind of way. And then the grant from IDA is specifically for whole house housing rehabilitation. So when you're looking at these dollar amounts, they're coming from sources where we are spending them exactly how we've been told that we need to spend them.
So they want us to lose money?
Yeah.
Well, losing money is really not the right way to see it. So it's not our general fund money that we're using. The return on the investment has all of these other benefits that HUD wants to see that have to do with community development, revitalization of neighborhoods, again, providing safe, affordable unit of housing to someone who might otherwise not have one. So the context of like profit and loss really isn't applicable to this kind of project or this kind of homestead program. It can sometimes be a little bit strange to look at numbers like this, but we expect for the first time in a long time to get a really glowing report card back from HUD saying we finally did this thing that they'd been telling us to do for a very awful long time.
And sorry, I look at,
You're fine.
in my business,
No.
if I look at that, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
Alderperson Haley, believe me, it was the very first thing when I was sworn in, and I was the same way, and I said no, until I got clarification of what kind of entails. And I think that's what really needs to happen. You kind of explain, like you explained to us before.
Yeah.
We kind of have to do this in accordance with HUD in order to get this from HUD.
Yeah, and something to point out too that's really important, and Colleen and I talk about this a lot. You know, when we say that we're an entitlement community with HUD, that doesn't mean we're just entitled to money. It means we must do what HUD tells us to do because we are acting as HUD on the ground. So we spend the money as HUD would spend the money. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're looking at projects like this.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely want someone to have a home, and I want it to be nice and beautiful, and
Well, being nice and beautiful isn't necessarily our objective, right?
I understand.
Safe, affordable housing.
Oh,
Of an average quality. We're not going for Taj Mahal here, we're just going for average.
But obviously, if this wouldn't have happened, it could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
And gone to disrepair because it wasn't economically feasible for someone to fix it up.
Absolutely.
And it goes the other way and deteriorates, and then we end up tearing it down.
Tear it down.
Yes, and so to that point about what was HUD trying to get us to do, we took an abandoned house that would have just been torn down or slowly tear down the neighborhood around it, you know, in a certain social sense, and we've turned it into something that should lift that neighborhood up.
And then also, with this being a pilot program, obviously, anytime anybody does a pilot program, your first-year costs are high because you're learning through things. And I think going through the pandemic and the rising costs of materials, which added into this, you know, didn't necessarily help the look on paper. And I think it's a great project. I think it's wonderful. And it's also my understanding that HUD's very, very happy with this. And so this opens the door for additional home and HUD dollars for us to do more of these
Yeah.
to help more people.
Yeah, so it was, you know, when we talk about the report card with HUD, you know, if we've been dinged on this many, many times, it makes them less favorable when looking at us to grant us additional funds in the future. Other partner organizations like IDA, kind of a similar story. Doing this and doing it successfully helps build a better resume for achieving future funding sources. If we, for example, in the future are able to secure home funds, we can use those home funds for new housing construction, right? At that point, we can create units of affordable housing way easier, and we don't have to go through a project quite like this. Right now, all we have are the CDBG funds, which cannot be used for new housing construction. So when we look at the paths forward for achieving that thing that HUD kept dinging us on, this was the real only option that we had to do that and really make it through to achieving that thing.
But also take a look.
Sorry to open Pandora's
No, you're
box.
fine. No.
No, good education. We're happy to talk about this. We're very happy with this project because
Yeah,
it's been many years in the making, and getting to a place where we can demonstrate capacity to do a project like this and do that thing which we really endeavor to do in CED, which is community development work. You know, there is a revitalized home in a neighborhood that really needs that.
I just hated that was my first thing I was brought up on when I was sworn in, and I had no education on it at all. So that's why I was misinformed as far as the purpose of the program. You know, I thought it was city money that we were spending to do that, and that's why I talked so, you know, so much against it until I was educated on what it's actually used for.
Yeah, and to be real clear here, I would not personally used my own private dollars in this amount on a project of this kind, but it's not my money we're talking about, it's HUD's money, it's IDA's money, and this is what they want their money spent on.
Two things, it wasn't city money, but it was still public money. There were still taxes collected from the public.
I thought it was actually city money in
yeah.
general fund.
Yeah, but it still was public money.
The only general fund money that was spent was like the $850 that we spent when we acquired the property at tax auction. That literally was the only general fund money spent. So in the scheme of things, that's, I don't know, somewhere well below 1% of the project.
You could also take a look at property taxes now that'll be on it that we wouldn't have had before.
Yes, and the other thing that I think is also really well worth pointing out is when we brought in real estate agents to talk to us about what the reasonable price for the house would be, all the work having been done in that neighborhood, they do the price comparison you've all seen, I'm sure other realtors do. They said that a good range for this house, they were hoping would be 90 to 95. So 92, pretty much coming in the middle of that range, we feel pretty jazzed about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to add one thing, if I might. I just want everybody to be mindful of the fact that because we're using HUD money, there are additional rules that we must adhere to, like the removal of lead and asbestos, which adds additional costs to the project. We cannot get away from that. We must do that. So when you're looking at these numbers, there are HUD regulations embedded in that process. So, and we would be happy to, talk to you guys about it. We love to talk about our projects, but it's just, I know that looks like sticker shock, but underneath those numbers are HUD regulation upon HUD regulation upon HUD regulation. So, at the end of the day, I think we're getting a win here.
Good.
Ken, roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 22.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property located at 806 7th Avenue, PIN 0913702350, to Rhonda Hart for $1,002.50 plus closing costs. First reading.
Motion to approve the sale is recommended. Authorize the interim city manager to execute the sale agreement, suspend the rules, and consider the ordinance.
Second.
Pass the ordinance.
Pass the ordinance. There you go. I knew I was going to mess it up.
Still. When you add that suspended, it kind of changes things. Okay, any discussion?
I have a question on this item and the next one.
Okay?
So, in the past, whenever we sell property, the sales agreements are included in the documents provided to council. I didn't see them in this item or the next item.
Mr. Bain, would you do me the favor of clicking the PDF? Would you scroll down, please? They are missing. I apologize. It's the same template language you will have seen in every other one I've brought before the council, with pretty much everything the same except who's buying it and what the specific price is.
Right, but typically we get the whole package. That's all I'm pointing out.
Yep, I missed. Okay, thank you for that input. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 24.
Report from the
Oh,
Community.
23, I'm sorry.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property located at 3314th 11th Street, PIN 161130532, to Ulcer Houston for $1 plus closing costs. First reading.
Move to approve the sale as recommended. Authorize the interim city manager to execute the sale agreement, suspend the rules.
Consider.
Pass.
Consider and pass the ordinance.
Yeah, see, you tongue-tied too.
That's hard. Payback.
Moved in second. We used to do them all that way until somebody changed this.
Yep.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 24,
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a resolution to approve the utilization of motor fuel tax funds in the amount of $550,000 for reconstruction of 46th Street between 37th and 39th Avenues.
Move to adopt the resolution and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the documents.
Second.
moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 25,
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a local public agency agreement for federal participation and a resolution to approve the utilization of motor fuel tax funds in the amount of $1.6 million for reconstruction of the intersection located at the Rock Island Parkway and 85th Avenue West.
Motion to approve the agreement, adopt the resolution, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the documents.
Second.
moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 26,
Report from the city clerk regarding a resolution approving the partial release of closed session minutes and the destruction of audio recordings for the same closed session meetings.
Move to approve
Move to
the,
approve the partial release of closed session minutes as recommended and adopt the resolution.
second.
moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 27,
Report from the mayor's office regarding amendments to Chapter 3 of the Code of Ordinances regarding alcoholic liquor, first reading.
Move to suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? It's quick.
Got it.
Mayor, I just have a question for you.
Yes.
How did you arrive at 25 miles, and how far out does that go? I know like Eldridge is like 17 miles north of us.
You know, I did a quick Google of, just a rough idea what the far side of Rock Island County was as far as Cordova, out that area. And it was actually 22 and a half miles right there. And so I did round up. So that's, if that's good any means to any madness, but that's, and I talked to several people around, there's no doubt, people are probably tired of me asking these questions, but, and it's roughly a 30-minute drive. That was another thing, I just kind of look at that, anytime you look at Google, it's about a 30-minute drive.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item 28,
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding variance requests for the new federal office building located at 1701 4th Avenue.
Move to approve the variance requests as recommended.
Second.
moved and second. Do we really want to approve it? No. Give him a hard time. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Once again, I got to reiterate, that's a great, great project that we have happening in the state of Rock Island, and thank you for Russell and Catco for putting that together, and the new federal courthouse, and hopefully see things happen here pretty doggone soon. It's nice to see it down, that's for sure, so thank you.
Down, but
What's that?
nothing.
The Bidco building?
Yeah, I said it wasn't exactly great to see the building go down, but
That
nice
was a
project.
bad building. Bad building.
Resident preservationist here, sorry.
Item 29,
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a resolution recommending the Community and Economic Development Department Director serve as the city's representative on the Land Bank Board.
Move to adopt the resolution as recommended.
Second.
move to second, any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Item number 30.
Report from the mayor's office regarding reappointments to the library board.
Motion to approve the reappointments as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Was that an aye? Alderwoman Gilbert?
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Swanson.
Now, can I vote since I'm
On the-
aye?
I don't think you can,
I don't
but I
know.
just wanted to make sure that you could.
She's on the
board.
She's on the board, she's being reappointed,
Yeah, I
so.
would suggest
Recuse.
recusing yourself.
Okay, I recuse myself.
Didn't even think about that.
That's why I didn't.
All right.
Just over her.
Yep. We are at item 31, other business.
I have one thing real quick.
Yep.
So I want to give congratulations to Ramsey VC Jr. He is the 2022 Chicago Golden Gloves champion. Around the same weekend that Bree was winning her national
Oh, is that
championship. So busy time for Rock Island.
Absolutely.
Busy time, busy time.
A lot of great people coming from Rock Island, that's for sure. Doing a lot of good things.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Rock Island Boxing Club, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's good.
And I want to do a quick call out to our department heads. So I have bombarded you with, I feel like I've bombarded you with questions and issues from residents, and I just want to thank you all for responding quickly and giving me the information to get back to the residents, because they really appreciate the basically 24 to 48 hour turnaround time. And I just want you all to know that I do appreciate the fact that you do a really great job and help me look good. So thank you.
I would also like to continue that because there's been some complaints down in the 6th Ward, and our CED director is working with me and our city manager our interim city manager to resolve that issue. Just want the folks to know that when you call your alderman, that it does not fall on deaf ears, contrary to some folks' beliefs.
That's correct. That's correct. And I'm going to bring up, I guess, conversation that's going on here just this week in clarification and talking about a task force that has been assembled for the downtown area in regards to safety. So we put together a task force of 8 people, I didn't count the number, but I think 8 people, or somewhere give or take, to discuss measures that could be taken to increase safety downtown. And the downtown area is, basically, we're talking roughly from First Avenue to 7th, and from 15th Street, where basically Centennial Bridge area, almost over to the Government Bridge area. That kind of a footprint is what we're talking. It's not just the 2-block area that people sometimes, or 3-block area that they think about. So it's a fairly broad but downtown area. In the light of some of the things that have been happening, not just in Rock Island, but across the country, unfortunately, with the crimes been on the increase, that it was time to put a little urgency to taking a look at that and what measures the city could take. And it'll consist of 2 city council members that are in this ward, that are down in that ward, this area, Alderman Dylan Parker and Alderman Moses Robinson. We represented on there along with the interim city manager, and of course the city manager, CED director, Miles, Dari, Liz Tallman, Jack Cohen with the chamber, work on the SSA, and John Keim. We have one business owner and resident of downtown.
And the interim chief.
That's right, forgot about, well, see, one guy's going to run it, everybody else. The interim police chief, Rich Landy, so make that up, and he's going to actually spearhead it. I think they've got a meeting already set for this week, Wednesday of this week. And I guess I've asked them to also work on with these deals, that they work on, I'll call it short-term, and they can work on long-term plans, but there's things we want to make sure the plan is implementable, if that's a correct word. But, we can put plans together and instead of saying, oh, that all sounds great, hiring so many officers and doing this or that, but there's a lot of cost to that. And it's kind of like, we don't have the money, so the plan sits on the shelf. And so we need to make sure that there's some things that we could take quicker action on than others. And so who knows what those actions will be? I don't want to prejudge anything, but there's some things that can be acted quicker than others. No doubt, personnel issues are harder to react quickly, but that doesn't mean that you just shove that aside either. That could be a little longer term. And with that, there's options of overtime or whatever. There's cameras. There's all different kinds of options and things to work with that. So they'll be meeting on a fairly regular basis to implement as quick as possible. Summer's coming. Unfortunately, things increase when the weather gets a little warmer, and it's unfortunate this happens. And I want to emphasize, it's not just shootings, it's crime in total. It could be graffiti, it could be just theft, it could be panhandling, in the wrong spots and bothering people. There's a lot of different things and parts to this. So it's not everybody, just because there's been shots fired these days, that they think that it's just that, and it's not. Obviously, that's a serious part, but we need to make sure that we give our citizens a safe environment to be in. And I emphasize that in 9 times out of 10, and I don't know if the odds are quite right, most of these issues that happen are targeted, not random. And so when people walking around, it's not really just a true random thing. It's kind of like, I feel unsafe. Uneasy, as I quoted, but people can feel uneasy, and that's fair to say that I feel a little uneasy, but to say that I'm scared or unsafe, there's a number of people walking around downtown. I was down here, not to belabor this, but down here last weekend, and there was a good crowd of people downtown last weekend, and there was no issues. There was standing room outside a number of venues downtown last weekend, both Friday night and Saturday night. And everybody had a great time, enjoyed themselves, and was safe. And so it can happen, it does happen. We just need to work on reducing what does happen or discouraging some more from happening. So hopefully that makes some sense. At this point, I'll call it an ad hoc task force. How long it'll be in place, yet to be determined, see how fast it goes together. I would like to see something, relatively quick. Call that in the next 60 days, that they bring something back, maybe coming back several times. The city council, any money's expenditure will come to city council to approve. If they're spending city monies, it'll need to come to city council for that approval. And there has been some council members, there's only 2 council members that are on part of it, because we need to have open and honest conversations. Other elected officials legally can show up if they do not participate. They do not participate in asking questions or answering questions. They're able to be the, quote, literal fly on the wall. Other elected officials can be there without offending or affecting the OMA ordinance or law. So that, if they want to keep informed that way themselves. But otherwise, I'd ask this group to come to city council on a regular basis and keep the council up to date where things are going.
One more item,
Well,
Mr. Mayor.
Excuse me.
I
also,
have
hold on, Judith. Seeing as how we are talking about it publicly, and I haven't had really anybody reach out to me about this committee that now I am, or task force, whatever we're calling it, that I am now serving on. It's my understanding that we limited business hours until 2 a.m. to address crime over a year ago, and a number of my constituents have since then shut their business down. And here we are, over a year, saying, oh, we have to do something about all the crime, creating another task force. I mean, is this us effectively saying, whoop, that didn't work? I mean, does anybody else here see the irony that after closing down some of my constituents' businesses, we're saying, there's still all this crime down here, what do we do? I don't think that this is very fair to them, and I think we need to acknowledge that maybe we tried something that did not work.
I just remember the conversation back then, and nobody said that it was absolute, that was the cause of it. They said, we felt that was one measure that needed to be taken. At this point, I'll call it somewhat temporary. It can always be brought back. We said as far, when the environment changes, we could take a look at that again, is what we talked about.
Sure.
And I don't think that the environment has changed yet to be able to talk about that, my personal opinion. And times do change as far as, it may have been the right thing at the right time, and now the environment has changed again. And as we've seen across the country, there seems to be a wave of this sort of thing happening.
Sure.
But, so I'm not sure anybody was ever opposed of ever talking about it again. It was just when they felt the environment was correct.
And we don't feel like the environment is correct.
When I
Now.
say "we," I can't speak for everybody.
Well,
I
I'm
can speak for
asking you.
myself. I say, no, I don't think right now is the time, my personal opinion.
Sure.
Is not yet. I personally, once again, I did talk about it publicly, I think that the time to reevaluate it is when we're done. If we can get this SSA established and we've made some major changes downtown that way, that's a good time to reevaluate at that moment, my personal opinion.
Sure.
But I'm open to anybody's conversation.
It just occurs to me that we are flailing around, making short-term decisions based off of a perceived vision of our downtown as being dangerous. Obviously, events take place. Events take place in downtown Davenport. Events take place everywhere.
Yes.
And the creation of this task force reminds me of yet another do something. And the do-somethings that we've done in the past have not been particularly helpful.
And you have the choice. If you wish not to serve on that, we can find somebody else. That's
But don't
fine.
worry, if there's a discussion going on that is about my constituents, I'm going to be in the room.
Okay, that's fine. All right. And Judith, I think, did you want to say something, Judith?
Yes, in relation to this. And I'd like to make a request with regards to the downtown, whatever you want to call it, task force, whatever, but also with regards to the downtown steering committee. I'm requesting that they come under OMA, and in my view of the terminology of what constitutes a public body, these are advisory creations of the city, and under OMA, that meets the definition. And if they fell under OMA, you could have up to a majority of a quorum, which would be 3 council members attending and being allowed to speak as well. I think we should have full transparency on everything we're doing with regard to downtown. Ultimately, we are going to have to spend taxpayer money, whether it's for safety, whether it's to revitalize, whatever it is, and yet the discussions are going on, and council, the majority of council, are not really receiving full input, in my opinion. So I am requesting that they come under OMA.
Okay. Well, at this point, we're going to start in the direction that we're going now. Whether that changes or not, we're going to stay down the path that started. And 2 things, the council members can reach out to any one of those task force members and express their thoughts, if they wish.
Well,
And
Can
at
the
the same
city
time,
attorney address that issue? That they should be under OMA?
I think that you have stated the law correctly, as I understand it, as far as what constitutes a meeting. If there are a majority, if you have a majority of a quorum, your references, I believe, are correct. I don't know what the particular makeup is of the downtown revitalization group. And if you were to have a meeting with the task force that is discussing city business, I mean, you can, if you're at a golf outing and you're discussing public business in violation of OMA, it's the same, it is applicable as well. So I don't think that we have a choice as to does OMA apply or not apply. It's do the facts fit within the OMA? Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, the OMA defines...
My point is, all the money for the downtown restoration is, for the most part, taxpayer money. And yet, it's being governed by a committee that everybody claims, well, the city didn't really set it up. The city's not appointed it, yet they're coming back to us asking for city money.
And I think that there are a number of groups that are not set up by the city that come and ask for money on a fairly regular basis. That doesn't make them subject to the OMA. But if one of those groups had, for instance, 4 aldermen on it and they discuss city business, then it would be subject to the OMA. I mean, we don't have an option of opting in or opting out of the OMA. It applies.
I understand that. I'm saying it should be under OMA, since it really is, for all practical purposes, to figure out how to spend money to revitalize our downtown or to improve safety in our downtown, and yet we're like, okay, no, we don't want to do that. It's not convenient. And yet, I had specifically requested, okay, when this new safety task force meets, that aldermen would receive notification of the meeting. So now the mayor's announced tonight, Wednesday, there's a meeting. Where was the notification to city council that I was promised we would receive?
I can't speak to that. I was trying to speak to the legal question regarding the OMA.
Right. But it's all part and parcel of the whole issue that I have with these two
At this point,
committees, task force.
I don't want to belabor this, but at this point, none of these groups are obligating the city to anything. They're discussing about the monies being spent different places, but they're not obligating the city. And that will happen in front of city council here, whether it be with the downtown revitalization or whether it be with this safety task force. They would be coming in front of the city council requesting funds to do something. That's when the obligation happens, and not until then. And so at this point, they're just strictly discussing it and giving recommendations.
And I do have to agree to some of what Alderman Gilbert is saying. I do think that we should be notified when these meetings are. I do, because we haven't been. I do think, and even the downtown task force.
Okay.
I think that the aldermen should be notified of when these meetings are. I think we should be permitted to attend. Granted, I get, because of OMA right now, we can't say anything, but I get questions on what's happening in the downtown area, what we're doing with this, and I don't have an answer, and I get a sanitized summary, and I kind of want to hear the discussion, and I want to hear what people are saying, because I don't want to just get a summary that tells me what somebody wants me to hear because they want me to vote a certain way. I mean, I think we've gotten stung by that a couple of times, that, it's like if there's negative things, I want to hear what those are. I can't make a decision on stuff, and I can't represent my constituents if I have no idea what's going on and meetings are occurring, and I don't even know when they are. I mean, it's like the planning commission, we know when those meetings are. Everybody knows when the library board meetings are. I mean, these are important discussions that are being held, and you can hear in people's words, you can see in their body language, and I just, I don't need to speak at them, but I would like to know when they are so that I can come and get information and hear information.
I think with this, so with the safety task force, we haven't really been able to meet because we've been trying to coordinate schedules with everyone. It was supposed to have been today, but then that was moved until Wednesday, rescheduled to Wednesday because of a conflict with schedules. I'm assuming that's going to happen, is that there's going to be a regular schedule and that's going to be sent out to everyone. I hope so, because whoever's on the task force has to plan accordingly also. So that would give them the opportunity to make sure that everyone is informed. I know just by me being on doesn't mean that I'm the only voice that can, have any say in it. I'm new to this also, so I'm going in blind, just kind of trying to figure out what can we do to kind of solve this or fix this. That means we have to have a discussion with everyone. Council.
That's right.
We have to have the discussion with council. It's not going to be my decisions or Alderman Parker's decisions to, kind of sway towards council. We need to get council's input to go back to this task force and get your ideas.
Right.
If I'm saying that, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, and we got to make sure that this stays somewhat nimble and we can move on a regular, speed type deal to, because summer is just basically here. And so we need to make sure that the group size-wise and everything else can
So,
Can
let me
make
get this
decisions.
straight. There was going to be a meeting today and nobody knew about it. That's the first I've heard about it today. So there was potentially a meeting today and no council knew about this?
I know there was one sometime this week, I didn't know exactly when to start with. so-
Alderman Robinson said
That's right.
there was potentially one today, but none of the council had any inclination that any of this was taking place. Now, hold on. So I agree, there's a part of this where I think every council person should be able to go and see what's going on. Everyone up here at this table has great ideas. Everybody should have some input because there's no, when we talk about a task force, we talk about people that have, so they may have ideas. Some people have expertise, such as our chief. Some people have, business owners. Everybody's got an idea. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of council people up here that have significant and they have great ideas. And if we don't know where these meetings are, we need to listen so then we can come back and talk to those representatives. But I find it very frustrating that there was potentially a meeting already today that nobody seemed to know about.
Once again, and that's correct. And I can understand the frustration, but it's not like we've done this in the past that we've informed people either.
Well, you
This
didn't
is
even
new.
inform Alderman Parker until he didn't even know he was on this commission or committee
that's-
for a while.
Oh, you do.
I knew that there was supposed to be a meeting today.
No, I'm not talking about that, but you made a comment a little bit ago that you didn't even know you were being put on this.
I received an email.
Okay.
He did.
I would
And
have,
so-
I would have liked a phone call or a little bit more of a, conversation about it.
But so the issue is, I hear you, and we will then notify all the council members when these meetings are.
So when and where is the meeting on Wednesday?
Say it again?
So when and where is this meeting on Wednesday?
I don't know.
Wednesday.
I'm not running it.
So Wednesday, and
I'm on it.
it's Wednesday, 1:30, correct, Chief? 2:30. See? Changes.
2:30 where? We could drive around the city and look for.
It's going to be at the police community room.
Yes. Please step up.
The police community room, starting at 2:30 on Wednesday. Initially tried for 1:30 today. I put the email out, I think it was Thursday of last week, trying to get a gauge on when would work best. I heard back from a few people, didn't hear back from others, so we tried to start it then, and then I heard back from others that wasn't going to work, so we readjusted to try to get as many people that could participate as possible, and that's what worked out for us there.
Okay.
So even before council was informed of this committee, you were already trying to arrange meetings?
Well, for the task
is that
force,
my
we have to get
understanding?
together as a group and figure out schedules when we can begin this thing. There's some initial organization that has to take place before we can set ongoing regular meetings. So, to get folks together and identify key stakeholders, that's still in development. The mayor, initiated this through the task force. We got some key stakeholders together. We've got to get folks in a room somehow to figure out what schedules are going to meet, how often, and then we can release that to council. Is the intent.
Again, this goes back to, I had conversations too within the last 2 weeks with the chief, with the mayor. Council was not brought into any of the discussion and even the creation of this beforehand. It would have been a nice courtesy that we were, and that we were notified before you're even trying to schedule meetings. That's just my piece on it.
I understand.
One of the things that I would want to remind everyone, based on Alderwoman Gilbert's comments, are if there is a meeting on Wednesday at 2:30 and there is, if there are enough members of the council that are there, OMA does apply. So if there are people participating more than the allowed number, that would be a violation. Secondly, if that was everyone's intent, there would have to be a schedule posted, which has to be the 48 hours, and I don't think that would be able to be met either. So there's nothing wrong with having the meeting if they're not participating and complying with the rules of OMA, but as pointed out by Alderman Gilbert, we don't get to choose whether it applies or whether it doesn't apply. The numbers are what the numbers are, and so I just would want to make sure that everyone is aware of that.
Correct, and that is correct, but the optimal thing... Yes, Jim.
Wait, clarification on that. I thought we were told by Brad Cole that if it's not posted as OMA, alder people can attend a meeting, but they cannot speak.
Yeah, I think we're.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, as long as we abide by those rules, that's correct. I'm just saying that if it was the intention of individuals to show up and participate in the discussion of city business, that OMA would apply, and the requirements of having an agenda posted at least 48 hours ahead of time would apply. But you are correct, Alderwoman Gilbert, that exception would be available. I just want to make sure that everyone was aware of having to, if you show up and you say, hey, I changed my mind, I want to start talking,
Can't do
that's going to be a problem.
But the two aldermen that are on the task force, they can speak. Any other aldermen that come cannot speak.
That's exactly. Cannot give their opinion, cannot do anything, they can just listen to what's going on.
I do have one last question regarding this issue. Chief, I'm going to direct this one to you, if you don't mind. So, there's obviously not all the alder persons can be there in attendance, and I think all the alder persons would like to be aware of the conversations that take place, the recommendations. Is someone going to be in charge of taking minutes, or and then is there a way that we can get all that information sent out to the council following each meeting within a timely manner?
What I anticipate this meeting to be, first of all, is kind of to talk about what can the police department do right away with what we have now for our resources to address some of the security issues that are concerned downtown. I was going to propose some ideas and try to just get some feedback from the downtown as far as with the limited resources we have, what can we do to get the most out of it? So for me, it was more of an operational, what can I do to help facilitate some of this? Those discussions I could see would be gradually, either in future meetings or going from there, is where do we can make other maybe investments that would also improve the downtown. But those would be in future meetings. Right now, I think it's more of what can we do right away to help get things going downtown, bring up maybe a higher presence of law enforcement that's seen down there, and what is already within our budget to work with, as opposed to those additional funds that the city may want to spend here in the future on these larger projects. That's how I saw this first meeting. It was more of, what can we do right away? We had an incident downtown, we had some other things that were occurring, so I'm looking at it, we're just finished our first quarter of this year. We're going to be doing a budget review at our staff meeting on the 18th. Once we have a better idea, okay, these are the kind of funds we have available to us for overtime. I have some ideas. We used to have the downtown patrol where we paid overtime for officers. They would sign up and work it. We can probably do something like that with our overtime budget to kind of get some officers out there, bicycle patrols, whether it's patrols at night, based on, again, I don't want to order officers, but if officers are willing to work it and we can get them additional presence down there, those were the kind of ideas I was going to float out there. Obviously, cameras, that's why I wanted Tim Bain there. He knows, again, some of the technical, the expense, but that would be probably, that's not going to happen right away. Those are going to take time. But that was what I foresaw this first meeting is, let's get this conversation started. Here's what I can offer from the police department, and from there we start working out. Does that make sense?
Yes. So obviously, we're going to have some short-term goals, and when we talk about a downtown safety, right, there's some that are short-term and there's some that are projected long-term, which I would assume are going to be incorporated into the downtown revitalization plan.
However that looks.
Correct. So at some point, this group will be working with that group or give recommendations to that group to.
This may be a sounding board where, hey, what do you think of this idea if we incorporate this in? One of the ideas, again, this is just something I'm throwing out here to the council. Back when we had our, what we called our CAPE officers, we had substations. We had a substation in Century Woods and we had one at Good Shepherd. If, again, looking towards the future, we want to have a better presence of officers down there more in the downtown. Does the city look at maybe incorporating a substation downtown?
We got all kinds of places.
What's that?
More since
a
little over a year ago.
When the police department was located here at City Hall, of course, we were just, a block away. I used to work, when I worked off duty, I would walk down to the district and work my assignment, and then I'd walk back. We're a little bit further away now, and it's again, we have to drive down and get down here. So is that something that may be beneficial in a long-term plan? I don't know. It depends on what it's going to look like. We talked about removing the plaza. We talked about just changing the plaza. I don't know what it's going to look like. What I do know is right now, we want to do something to help people feel better, and maybe just seeing that additional presence. If we can do it, we're going to try to do that. If I can get any other ideas, the only thing is where do they want to see it? During the day, when people are walking around, at night primarily? Where do we focus those efforts? That's what I need, is that feedback to help me make those decisions.
Okay, so, perfect. So again, just an ask. I would appreciate if you guys could get some information out to council following these meetings as to what those conversations are that took place for those that were unable to attend.
I will make sure that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, Chief, while you're there, so I think, just from hearing you, I think a better solution may be, and that's just a suggestion, that we have like, what's the unplug event? Where you have citizens come in and give you that feedback, because I can't give you that feedback. I mean, it's my ward, but I'm not down there all the time.
Sure.
So I think we need to hear from the individuals who are experiencing the fear and the crime and all those different things, because then you can get that information, directly, instead of having to get it through a middleman. And then if the task force, the way that we go to try to build a plan to go forward, maybe that's what we do. But I think having a community event where we can actually have people come in.
Sure, I'm certainly open to that. The only thing is, again, I want to try to stay focused on the downtown area.
Yes.
Because they're unique. Every area of the city has its own unique issues. So I just would like to try to stay with that. And obviously, we're talking about your wards that make up the downtown, and that's why I think the mayor chose you to be part of this, because you would know your constituents' concerns and be able to relay those to you.
Right.
Chief, one more question, if I may, Mayor.
Yes.
You've got the ability with your report writing system and what have you to actually draw up the data that will show us where the incidents are happening, what kind of incidents are happening, what days of the week they're happening, so some of these decisions are based on their data-driven decisions rather than just, well, I don't feel safe. It's, Monday night and I'm in a council meeting, I don't feel safe. It's something like that rather than just
Sure.
a person's thoughts.
The only thing I'll say is our RMS, you're talking about our records management system, and the
Yes, sir, I
CAD
would.
system. That system is actually on its way out, and it's not actually being supported anymore. Now, can I still run a report and certain data from it? Yes. We can do that, but it's not as, sometimes it doesn't paint the full picture.
Okay.
Running raw numbers doesn't always tell you everything, and it gives you what you're looking for as far as specific things, but it sometimes pulls numbers that maybe you don't want. So you have to go through and filter out what's important and what's not. That's what we ran into frequently. We would run these reports and we would get all these raw numbers. Well, if I'm looking at activities of like incidents of officers being called downtown, but some of those numbers would include officers that were just calling out doing parking walks or a business check. Well, does that really count for a call?
But you have the ability to categorize those as to certain types of calls, like a loud music call or a disturbance or a domestic. Because it's more than just shooting.
Sure.
When is your new system going to be in play and up and running?
It's actually been delayed. It's now towards March. We're still working out some of the, we're having to migrate data from one system to the other, and we're running into problems there. What I will tell you is some of what you're talking about where we could parse things out, we could call what we call crystal reports.
Right.
However, the person that had the expertise in creating those reports has since retired, and we do not have the ability to create or run those reports anymore. So unfortunately, that's kind of gone in the past. The new system that we are working on supposedly will be much more accurate. Go ahead.
24th is about the next go-live date.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not talking in an extended period of time. We're talking, in the grand scheme of things, a relatively quick turnaround.
I would just caution you to say is anytime you have something new of this scale, it's going to take time for us to get it up and running, and it's always going to have some bugs we're chasing out of it.
Well, I know that there are some members on our council that are very keen to data-driven decisions, and so I was just bringing that forward to say, hey, we have that ability.
Yes, absolutely. Going forward, we'll have a much better system, much more robust. And keep in mind, we also have now our crime analyst that can also run those numbers for us and do much more in-depth reports, but we're just kind of in this transition period right now.
Okay.
And then I would like to say one positive thing. I think as you read the paper, it is skewed a little bit. We don't have as many shots fired as other cities.
No.
So I just want anybody listening to know Rock Island is safe. It's not, we're having this discussion because we have this abundance of crime, because there are more shots fired across the river than there are here, but for whatever reason, we just seem to hit the front page of the paper a little bit more often.
The last week was a little rough on us, but
None of those people were from Rock Island. They were all drive-throughs
That's
from somewhere else.
I will point out that we did a very good job, and we had the credit union robbery, and we apprehended them within minutes. So that was a very good
Job
thing
well
that I-
done.
Well, there's none, the graffiti that was at the park, we caught those gals too.
got those
and
too.
So we've had some good success with, like I say, there's lots of different types of crime.
And we did make progress on some of the other things too, but of course, that doesn't always make it out.
That's right. All right, you had something else?
I just need a clarification from the chief. You said you're migrating data from one system to the other, and it would be in March?
May.
May.
Late May, I believe, right? Yeah, late May. It just got changed, the date is changed. When we decided to delay it, we have to wait on the vendor to give us the new dates, which, again, is like late May. I wouldn't be surprised if it changed again, but that's what we're shooting for now.
But if we're looking at this project, I mean, this is not going to be solved before May. So, I mean,
No, this is just, we're just getting started.
right.
Good, sir. All right, you had something else?
I would like to read something positive, if I may.
That's correct.
The Rock Island Police Benevolent had a break in activity when they did not do their 2020 benevolent dance/taco dinner. Now, the Benevolent Association contributes money to the Christmas food baskets. They also donate to Bob Vogelball's Thanksgiving Day dinner, and they make grants available to public and private schools in the metro area, and then contribute to children's activities, and they sponsor children's sports and children's athletic teams. So this year, that will be on April 23rd, 2022. Unfortunately, we could not get the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Hall anymore, so they've had to move it over to the Sacred Heart Catholic Church, or Coleman's Memorial Hall at 1400 16th Street on April 23rd, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And again, it's a taco dinner. There'll be music there. I don't know how much dancing will be there, but there will be music there.
I want to see you dance.
You don't want to see me dance. There'll be raffles and silent auctions throughout the night, and admission is free. So, again, this is the Police Benevolent Association. They reach out and they try to help folks, help the kids, and help those in need. So it's, if you're not doing anything that night, I'm sure they would appreciate having you come.
I plan on going. I went to the Molines last week. There was a lot of, they played bingo and I didn't win.
And thank you for indulging me this opportunity.
Great event, good opportunity. Help them raise some funds. Anything else? If not, we've got item number 32.
Closed session 5 ILCS 122C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body.
Move to go into closed session for this exception cited.
Second.
Moved and second. Assume there's no discussion, roll call, please.
Alderperson Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.